Good morning. My name is Penny Wright, and I am having the pleasure today of speaking with a Southampton village resident named Gopal Char. It is August 27th, 2020, and I want to thank you for being willing to sit down with me today to talk about your experiences. In fact, you are the first person we have spoken with so far who has actually had COVID-19. So welcome, and we are glad you are here to talk to us. Gopal, can you start just by telling us a little bit about how you ended up coming to Southampton, just very briefly? How long have you lived here?
Um, my name is Gopal Char. I have been in Southampton almost 5 years now. The way I ended up being here is I used to come to visit a friend, and I fell in love with this place. Given the background I have, I used to live in Europe. I lived in Norway, and I used to living in open spaces, and I love nature. And obviously, when I came here, I saw the beaches, greenery, and how nice it was. And I fell in love. And I said, no matter what happens, I will go move over there. And
Okay.
now I'm in so much in love. I don't want to move from here.
Well, you don't have to. I'm glad. Gopal, okay, so let's start from the beginning of your experience. Tell us how your symptoms started and progressed.
Um, this happened towards the last week of March. I started getting like feverish, um, nausea, kind of like, and then I lost the sense of taste. I didn't want to eat anything. I felt fatigue, smell. I couldn't smell anything, and I thought that it's just maybe a temporary thing and it'll pass. So I was very resilient about it. But then it started getting worse. I couldn't even get up from my bed, and that's when I think I realized that this could be something serious. I never thought that I would have COVID, to be very honest with you. And obviously, I'm diabetic also. And that day I had ginger ale because I was very thirsty. And that night, my friend called an ambulance to pick me up. And when they took me to the hospital, the doctor said that we're going to do a test on you. I think most likely you have COVID. And that's what it was. I mean, when the test came back, I tested negative. Actually, I tested positive. I'm sorry. I tested positive and I was in the hospital for 4 weeks. I mean, not knowing what's going to happen because even the doctors who were treating me did not have much knowledge about what's going on, because the thing is it was new for them too. So I was like a guinea pig for them, and I was one of the longest patients to be there for 4 weeks. Um, every day was one step forward and two steps back. Every day was like that. My day would start very positively but end negatively, in the sense I was always in fear that what's going to happen next. Maybe I'm going to die. The doctor had to assure me that I'm not going to die. And then, of course, I didn't want to end up in the ICU, but I did. They had to, because my oxygen level dropped to below 80. And they were very concerned because, when your oxygen when you drop below 80, that means your brain is not getting enough oxygen. They were scared that I might not survive. So they took me to ICU. They stopped short of putting me on the ventilator, but they put me on a high flow oxygen for 70% and right through my nose, and I couldn't sleep or nothing. It was a torture, to be very honest. And then I had to lay on my stomach to get my lungs, like a little bit of air and all that stuff. And it was not that after 5 days, they took me off ICU. And then I went back to the regular ward. And then after 3 days, they brought me back. This time on a 40% high flow oxygen. And then they brought me back again after 3 days. And then it was going down. 4 weeks later, I was released. And I thought that I will recover fast. I mean, when I spoke to you last time, I told you how happy I was to come off. and I was weak, but I was really enjoying the nature. Obviously, I was hoping that every day passing, I would get stronger and stronger and stronger, but I was not. And the reason why was because my lungs were affected. And one of the doctors told me that your lungs might be infected because of the COVID, and you might have a breathing problem. And that's what exactly happened. Had fatigue. I couldn't walk for a long distance. I had to kind of like sit down. I mean, I couldn't do nothing. I was feeling miserable. I mean, So after that, I went to the hospital. I went to the ER. After 2 weeks, they released me, and I thought that it's going to be better. It didn't happen. And a week later, I was back in the ICU, in the ER. And this time, it was a defining moment, because what happened was, the day after I was admitted to the ER, I passed out. And I had no idea what happened until I woke up after 8 days. What had ensued during my 8 days in coma, I should say, was I had 2 heart attacks. My brain was without oxygen for 12 minutes. That means 12 minutes times 2, that's 24 minutes. And then they put me on a ventilator. I woke up on a Friday afternoon around 3 o'clock with a ventilator in my mouth. Obviously, they had lowered the sedation, and I was able to wake up. So one doctor came into my room and said that the head doctor, Dr. Hussain, who's a pulmonologist, he said he's coming, and then we're going to take the ventilator out of your mouth. They had no idea, because they had already given up. They said either Gopal is going to die, or at best, he would be in a vegetative state in some nursing home. That's what they told my friend. But when the doctor walked in, he asked me to write something like a whole page, and I did. And then I started talking, and they were shocked. They did not have any clue that how I dodged this whole thing. They had no idea. And I was so happy, even though they yanked the ventilator out of my mouth. It did hurt me in my throat. I did not care for that. Then the speech therapist came, and she's shocked too. She says, I can't believe that you can talk. We were discussing politics and discussing about the weather and all that stuff. And she said, I cannot explain this. And because normally when you get off the ventilator, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks before you get normal, like you start talking normally, because of your brain function, because you've been at standstill. Your body has been at a standstill, because you're breathing mechanically. You're not doing anything by your body is not doing anything. So, but I was very happy. And then, of course, I stayed in the hospital for another week, and I came out. I got out of the hospital hoping that this time is going to be, that's it. No, it was not. I started getting worse, because what had happened was my lungs was retaining fluid. I had not slept on my back or in my bed since I went to the hospital. And I had to sit. I had not slept at all. I had not slept on my bed. I used to sit on my couch. I used to, every day, I woke up like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't go back to, I couldn't sleep at all. So I went back to the emergency, and every time, of course, I went to the hospital, they tested me, and I tested negative this time. And obviously, they had to, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. So during this time, they had to puncture my lungs and drain the fluid, almost 2 liters of fluid from both the sides. And then they come up with something new this time. That was remdesivir. It's a drug which is there to treat coronavirus. And one of the Dr. Fernando, he put me on a 10-day course. And of course, that was a long time, because I wanted to get out. I had not worked in almost 3 to 4 months. I mean, my life has come to a standstill completely. I mean, and that's unheard of kind of for me, because, staying in the hospital for such a long time, I mean, it was too much. And so then, I saw my body reacted positively to that. And I saw that I was getting more kind of like, normal. So they cut the 10-day course to a 5-day course. And Dr. Hussein, I would say he was the best doctor. I mean, the thing is, God bless him. He saved my life, actually. He was the one who saved my life. And one thing I must say about Dr. Hussein was that whenever he said something, he did it. If he told me that I'll come and see you later on, he did. If he wanted to give me any message, he did not give me through the nurse. He came personally to give me the message. And he checked on me almost every day. So after I finished the 5-day course, the nurse, I had no idea that they're going to release me. The nurse came in and told me, Gopal, they are going to discharge you today. And I was so happy, so happy. And I was finally allowed to go home. Yes, in the beginning I was weak, but then I recovered, and now I know what being normal is. I forgot what being normal was completely. I used to look at people and say, why cannot I be like that? Why? I mean, and God is great. I mean, he gave me a new lease of life. I mean, I couldn't be more thankful to the staff of Southampton Hospital. They tried their level best. They were all feeling sorry for me. I said, don't feel sorry. I think it's all God's work. I think he wanted me to reset my life and purge all the meaningless things which we worry about, for nothing, So that's the gist of my story in short.
Gopal, there are certain happenings that just are beyond explanation.
Absolutely.
Your story is definitely one of them. I have to say, on a personal note, I was taking a walk one morning and a bicyclist was racing toward me, and it was you, and I couldn't believe that you were riding a bike and vigorous, and after everything that you have been through. So I'm not sure there are many questions that I need to ask you, because you have told us everything. You had a lot of people I know thinking about you. You've had some friends who were very helpful, and it must have been terrifying. And what an extraordinary experience you have had that few others have experienced.
Yeah, I mean, it was not, I mean, nobody wants to be in that position at all. And I'm telling you, I went to I was in the jaws of death, and I came out. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of people just can't imagine that I'm still alive. Right. I mean, the thing is, they almost, even my friends gave up. They were all starting to think about how, because I always wanted to get cremated, and they said, okay, we're going to start preparing for his funeral just in case, and so it was kind of like, it was surreal. Right. But there were some friends who, like Mr. Vic from Katina's, he made a point. He always, every single day, he contacted me every single day. I mean, that was very heartwarming, he asked me, Gopal, you need anything and all that stuff, I mean, he took, the very fact that he took some time out of his busy day to think about me, that itself is very generous and, very noble, and a couple of other.
Vic Fino-Borgo. That's Vic Fino-Borgo, and
that's correct.
A very kind person.
Very kind person, yes.
I'm so glad he was there for you.
And Barbara Wilson, I just got a call from her 2 days ago also, and to see, she was trying to ask me how I was doing and everything. And I mean, people like that. And I had a couple of other friends who, Elitza Cowell, she was always calling me, Aya Linde, one of my other friends. I mean, they always called me to find out how I was doing. I must give a shout out to all the nurses, at Southampton Hospital. I mean, they do a phenomenal job. I'm telling you, they have a tough job. I mean, I used to try not to bother them. Believe me, I was very self-sufficient. I was kind of like, I used to, unless I really needed something, I never called them. They used to come to me, and sometimes, they used to spend time with me, talking to me, and also the nurses aide, also the people who used to pick up trash. Even them, I remember one lady, she was Spanish, spoke very good English. She always took time to talk to me. I mean, you don't forget people like that. I don't even remember her name, but she always said, Gopal, you look good, and she took time to talk to me. And, it was like, it was so heartwarming. I mean, it was like, um, it was just, uh, I mean, they're taking the risk to come to my room. I mean, because, even though I didn't have COVID, but I was patient under investigation, PUI. That means they had to be cautioned. They had to be cautious. So, but the thing is, I was so grateful to them. So when I come out, I ordered, I ordered lunch for both the ICU and the staff of ICU, and for 2 North. That's where I was, room number 209. I said, and I wrote a nice thank you letter for them. And, I was, I mean, as a gratitude, kind of like, I mean, I didn't want to forget what they did for me. Yeah.
Gopal, I am really moved by your story, and I think it's a story that we can all learn from and benefit from. We are so glad that you are alive to tell us your story and willing to share it. And I want to thank you on behalf of all of us at the library and in
Thank,
our community.
thank you so much, Penny, for taking some time to interview me. That's very, very nice of you to do that. I mean, and I would tell, in closing, I would just say one thing, that life is very fragile. I mean, our time on this earth is very limited, and the thing is, so long we are here, try to do the best you can, help other people, be generous, be kind. There's no point in being nasty or being mean or being selfish, because the thing is, nobody's looking for anything. It's just an act of kindness which takes you a long way. I mean, that's all matters. I mean, the thing is, everything else is meaningless when you're laying there on that bed in the hospital. That's all. I mean, all these things did not matter to me. Like my bank account, or like, oh, I'm not working, or my car. It did not matter to me at all, because now it could be my final destination, my hospital, and I would have been gone. I mean, I would be in the morgue. So, it's, so we have to think about how we talk to people, think before you open your mouth. I mean, the thing is, be kind, don't be abrasive. All these things I learned. I'm more of a humble person now than I was before. I mean, being cocky and all that, it doesn't get you anywhere. I mean, ultimately, I mean, it's between you and your God, but you have to make good on it.
Gopal, wiser words have never been spoken, and we thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.